Thank you for joining us for Midmarket ReferenceLIVE event featuring Zymeworks. My name is Joshua Coleman with the North America Mid-Market Customer Success and Reference Team. So to kick it off, we have Stacey Boyd, VP of Sales for Mid-Market Territory Canada under David Wolf, and she's been with us for 5 years. Thank you, Stacey, for joining us. Chris Astell is a highly experienced financial executive, currently serving as a Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at Zymeworks, where he oversees finance, compliance, and IT. With a PhD in organic chemistry from the University of Bristol and a master's in chemistry from the University of Liverpool, Dr. Astell has a strong foundation in scientific research and analysis. Over the course of his career, Dr. Astell has held various high-level financial positions, some of which being the Chief Financial Officer of CFO Center in British Columbia, Vice President of Finance at Alder Biopharmaceuticals, CEO of Think Forward, a boutique finance consulting firm that he founded, and also Associate Vice President of Finance at Allergan Global Finance. Allergan. Thank you. A global pharmaceutical company where he managed multiple product launches, M&A transactions, restructurings, and a team of 170 across 60 countries. And if that's not enough, Dr. Astell is also a certified ski instructor and enjoys spending time outdoors. So Stacey, Chris, thank you both for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Chris, we're going to start off with a really simple one. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Zymeworks?
Sure. Thank you. Great to be here. Great to meet you all. Thanks, Joshua. So yeah, you've heard a few things there about me. My name's Chris Astell, CFO of Zymeworks. I've had a career in finance, mainly within the pharmaceutical industry, some tech companies as well. Currently at Zymeworks, been here for about 3 years, CFO of the company for just over a year now. Previously lived down in Seattle at Alder Bio, a migraine company. And prior to that, ran my consulting company, Think Forwards, and previously at Allergan, where we launched in multiple countries, many new products, a lot of transactions, a lot of M&A, a lot of transformation. That is one of my SAP stories where we had a single global instance of SAP at Allergan. And then we were acquired by Activis, who brought along almost 50 new ERPs. And that was a fairly major ERP integration project there. And then previously started out in finance at PricewaterhouseCoopers in London. And prior to that, spent a few years in the labs doing some drug discovery, as you heard, doing my PhD in organic chemistry. Spent some time out in Switzerland at Roche, and before that, my undergrad at Liverpool University. So traveled the world, experienced quite a few things, been through a few different companies, and very glad to be here now at Zymeworks. We're a clinical stage drug discovery oncology company. We are an SEC NASDAQ listed public company. We are in phase 3 clinical trials with our lead asset, zanidatamab, which is in gastric cancer and biliary tract cancer. We're also moving up from phase 1 to phase 2, a second asset. And we have a very broad pipeline behind that, where we're planning 5 new products, 5 new INDs over the next 5 years. So a very exciting, rapidly growing, innovative biopharmaceutical company.
Exciting indeed. I've been following you guys for a little bit. In a real life scenario, you guys are you're saving lives, and it's amazing. So thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it. But Stacey,
why don't we start with what were some of the challenges that led Zymeworks to need to improve upon their internal systems and evaluate SAP?
We had a lot of very manual processes. We had some good systems, but not integrated. So the lack of integration leads to manual steps. It adds time. And as you're growing as an organization, whether that's growing in size or complexity or geographically, it just gets infinitely harder to maintain the processes that you have, because you'll have to compensate, you'll have to add more people. So really, I was seeking something that could address those issues and be able to drive some automation, best practice processes, and really having a nice integrated solution. Becoming a global commercial biopharmaceutical company is a huge transformation, because you not only need to manage global clinical research organizations who undertake your clinical trials, you have contract manufacturing, supply chain and logistics, pricing and commercial policy. globally, and that becomes very, very complicated.
As a CFO, what was the most important part for you when evaluating enterprise systems?
One is that those best practices, it really enables you to scale quickly, whether you're scaling up or down. Having that scalability factor, that efficiency is so important. You bring on a new market, you can plug it into your systems, and they have preset processes that they can follow. But also, as a public officer of an SEC filer, I think about risk a lot. And having an auditable tool like SAP that isn't a black box, where you can implement policies so you can have these railroads that the company has to follow. So you can embed policy and ensure compliance in all that you do as you're growing. That really reduces the risk of the enterprise. So having like a modern integrated tool like SAP really helps a CFO sleep better at night.
Tell us a little bit about your system landscape before and then after migrating to SAP.
So previously, our accounting system was NetSuite. Our financial planning system was Adaptive. For HR, we use Bamboo, supported by JobVite. But really, it's all the things in between. So manual reports, smart sheets, timesheets, Excel files, which were kind of saved in a variety of different places, with a lack of quality control. And you can imagine the inefficiencies that would drive in an audit, for example. Now, what we've moved to with SAP S/4HANA is a really broad ecosystem of systems across the portfolio. So we have SAP for our accounting needs. We have Ariba for the invoicing and vendor management side. On the HR side, we have gone with SuccessFactors. We have also utilized SAP Analytics Cloud for the planning and reporting and doing analytics and data management and KPI dashboards and so forth. Really exciting tool, pretty new. It's really fun to play with that new solution that you have. And then not only that, what we really try to drive out is additional integrations with our other systems. So with our payroll providing software, with our banking software, having automated banking feeds from our banks, SAP enables all of those things.
It's such a complete change. I'm curious, what was the urgency to make the change from all of your disparate systems to SAP?
I really wanted to make sure that I had a high degree of confidence over the systems and the data within them before I'm signing off the financial statements at the end of the year. So doing an implementation like this really makes you have a good long look at your data, vet it, qualify it, check it, clean it before you transfer it into a new system. And as you're moving into a new system, you're going to check everything like your GLs, your chart of accounts. Is that really the right way for the business to be structured? Do you have the right project codes, profit centers, and so forth? So what you end up with is a really, really clean, validated set of financials and everything else, all your other data. Everybody in the team goes, I own it, I know it, it's squeaky clean. As we get ready for commercialization, there are things we still need to do, even subsequent to this initial release. So thinking about inventory, costing modules, we need those ready. And then ultimately, you'd need the pricing and commercial policy, supply chain and logistics modules all ready to go. And you can't just go with those first. You need to build the foundations, which we've done in this first release. And now we're ready for the growth journey that lies ahead.
I'm curious, through the evaluation, why did Zymeworks choose SAP over another enterprise software vendor?
The sheer complexity of our businesses, the global reach, the intercompany situations, the supply chain logistics, manufacturing, the manufacturing process from raw materials to work in progress to bulk drug to finished product to the final vials that you're shipping all around the world. That's a complicated manufacturing process. SAP has the firepower to be able to handle that. And it's tried and tested and proven. So it's well known in the industry. So in some ways, it was an easy decision. I've had a lot of previous experience with SAP. We had a global single instance at Allergan. We had thousands of SKUs. We had multiple geographies with different structures, different languages, different setups, alternative hierarchies. a mature portfolio of products, but also new products coming to the market, a lot of M&A, tuck-in acquisitions. We had everything that you could possibly throw at an ERP, and SAP could handle it. So I have the highest confidence in the system. And really, you've built out a fantastic ecosystem. So having end-to-end integrated processes like purchase to pay, where not only do you have the accounting system to manage your POs, you have Ariba to manage the vendors. The vendors have a self-service portal where they manage their POs, they manage their invoices. They can see how much they've got left on their budgets, and they just submit their invoices directly into Ariba rather than posting it to the mail room and someone opening it up and typing it into the system. It's there in our system already. So that ecosystem of pieces of software that you can implement and integrate to help end-to-end processes and optimize your workflows, it's leading. It's absolutely a leading best practice solution. And then, the additional integration with other third-party software, that's a really nice differentiator. And the fact that it's also, you can have it in the cloud, so it's like best practice in terms of security, in terms of scalability, in terms of sustainability.
I'm curious, what are some of the biggest successes in change that you've seen from your previous ecosystem to, implementing SAP?
We're a pharmaceutical company, so our manufacturing processes are regulated, and you have this GXP qualified system for regulatory compliance. SAP offers this. And so, like, moving from our old systems to this, we now are able to undertake an FDA inspection and get an approval for our products because you have the qualified modules that we need to be able to satisfy the data submission and audits that we have to undertake. So
from your point of view, the importance of selecting the right partner for your implementation of SAP.
I'm a finance person, like I'm a chief financial officer. I'm not a system expert. I'm not an implementation expert. There's three major elements to a big implementation like this. First is your implementation partner, someone who will come in and help implement, configure, integrate your systems and your solutions. And then you have the data that you're going to put in it. That's the company's responsibility. That's data you already have today. It's looking at that data, making sure it's clean, validated, as I said before, and ready to be moved into the new system. And then third is the change management element to this, informing the business what's changing, why, how, when, what are the benefits, framing that journey out, what are the timelines, what do we need from them, what are their responsibilities, what will we bring as a project team in terms of training, guidance, cheat sheets, process flows, updated policies, and so forth. So you've got the three elements. If you have the right integration partner and implementation partner, in theory, that should be relatively simple. That should be fairly straightforward, fairly formulaic, depending on how much customization you need. And we did a big implementation across many different pieces of software. So it was challenging. Then you're left with two still very significant challenges. Cleaning up your data, big challenge. Don't underestimate it. Get that started early, even before you start your journey. It's never too early to really do a big data cleanup. The change management aspect is challenging, especially if the company's been around a long time. People are used to the old processes. It's really important to support the company with the right implementation partner, with a good data cleanup. Then you can focus on the most important thing, which is actually the people.
Joshua, I'm going to bring it back to you and see if there's some questions from our audience.
Great. Thanks, Stacey. Appreciate it. Chris, fantastic answers. I definitely have some follow-up questions, but let me open it up to some Q&A. I have a couple in the chat. For SAP and non-SAP application integration, for example, banking, can you connect SAP and banking systems directly without third-party tools or plugins?
My understanding is the answer is yes, you can directly connect. I think it might depend on your bank. I believe that's the same with our payroll system as well. I believe ours is a direct integration. I would imagine you're going to find some software somewhere which doesn't have a direct integration.
Did you have an internal change of management leader, or did you bring in a change of management consultant?
We actually brought in an additional partner who helped us with the change management piece, the OCM piece. They helped us put together some communications, helped host like a lunch and learn and a fun quiz, having a really good story, really good Q&As, really good training. It's worth it.
Any lessons learned? What would be your top recommendation or advice to anyone looking to changing their accounting systems?
Data cleanup. It was a substantial task, validating the vendors, validating every, how often do you clean up your open POs, for example? You can do that cleanup now in your existing system. The other lesson is around timing. Just make sure it's the right time, kind of never the good time. You don't want to go live if you're a public listed company, especially if you have SOX in Q4. Because if you realize you've got SOX gaps, you're not able to remediate them before year end. So you'd really want to make sure you're doing the right timing around the project as well. The other learning actually is engage. If you're going with someone like SAP, engage SAP. They've got great expertise. They've got great people around the table. We've actually got a lot from our SAP team. They've really been able to jump in and help with particular issues as well. So they're not just going to sell you the software. A lot more comes as a package, I'd say.
Thank you. Going back to change management, did Zymeworks staff conduct the training themselves?
Largely, I'll say yes. We did leverage some external expertise, especially on more technical aspects like getting the vendors set up in Ariba. It's quite technical, getting the right tax codes in there and so forth. So we would use our third party for some of the training. Make sure your teams are up to speed. And then it really, I think, adds a lot of value if they then go and train the business.
Regarding SAP Ariba, do you use it to manage all your suppliers, both direct suppliers, for example, raw materials, and indirect suppliers, for example, suppliers, consulting service, et cetera?
We do. And it's not always easy because there are some entities that don't like to be in Ariba. Let's say the government for taxes, right? They're not going to go in and register in Ariba. However, we still want 100% of all of our vendors, no matter what the nature is, in Ariba, because it facilitates your purchase to pay and accounts payable process. It provides you with that review and approval process internally.
Did you go through a formal internal value ROI-based justification for establishing budget and getting internal support? If so, can you share the process or approach taken to justify the transition to SAP and associated spend?
Yes, we did. And we assessed it in terms of the transition costs, because you're going to need internal and external resources, and the software and some of the integration work is a one-off cost, a lot of which can be capitalized, depending on whether you're P&L or cash-based focused company. And we assessed the budget, and through the RFP, you can assess the different pieces of software, the different implementation partners, the different costs. So you'll end up with a pretty good idea of what the cost is going to be.
When you implemented SAP, did you implement SAP from the point of view of being a manufacturing organization, considering that you're not at that stage yet? And if not, how does Zymeworks plan manage any organizational changes that you might have in the current SAP setup?
We knew that we were going to become a manufacturing company. It's outsourced, so it's not quite the same complexity as having in-house manufacturing. But we would be manufacturing our products, being able to capitalize certain elements of that manufactured goods as they move down the balance sheet to finished goods. And we would be moving into sales and global supply chain logistics, pricing, and commercial policy. We know that's the end goal. And this is why we built the foundational layer that we did at this time.
With a project of this size of magnitude, how much internal dedicated resources were planned and or added to the project?
So we had one person from the finance team fully dedicated, but everyone else in the finance team were involved at some point in some way. Everybody in your team will need to give some time to this.
As far as staffing and IT, and I know you're CFO, but how do you structure your IT team to support the ongoing future of IT infrastructure that you're going to have?
Probably want some internal expertise. So you've got someone who really knows the system and is on-prem, full-time, ready to support. But then I'd recommend that you'd have an ongoing partner, and whether that's your implementation partner or somebody else, that is your long-term partner that will help you with technical issues, subsequent releases, software updates.
Earlier, you mentioned customizations as far as the ease of implementation. And I know customizations is a scary word when it comes to implementing. Did you have many, if any, customizations?
I'm going to make this number up. Was something like 99% non-customized.
If you had to do it all over again, what would you change, if anything?
But I think something around, the work burden, whether it's more support or more time, would have been beneficial.
Final question. What's next for Zymeworks?
We signed a major partnership with a big global pharmaceutical company in December last year. That has really transformed our business because that has validated our science and our lead asset, zanidatamab, which is in phase 3 clinical trials. They're going to take on the financial responsibility of developing, manufacturing, and launching that product globally and commercializing it. So that's really changed the risk profile of our business and really de-risked us, and it's brought in a significant amount of capital. And so if you're aware of the capital markets, haven't been very kind to the biotech industry recently. So we're now in a very strong position where we're very well capitalized, have a nice long cash runway, de-risked, and have validated science and ability to create meaningful assets and do great deals. So we're very excited. We have a whole host of new products coming up the pipeline. We've got our next product, zanidatamab zovodotin, moving up into phase 2 clinical trials for breast cancer and non-small cell lung cancer. And we're planning 5 new INDs over the next 5 years. And we have an amazing scientific shop in Vancouver where we're hiring more research scientists into that area. We're investing more, building out our platform and our pipeline. And we're growing internationally. We're opening some additional hubs around the world so we can be closer to some of these oncology centers and closer to our patients. And really, continuing the innovation journey that we've been on over the last 20 years.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for putting a human element to it, because we get so wrapped up in the tech behind it that gets us there and the ERPs and everything. And we got to step back, as I said in the beginning, and realize you're saving lives. What you're doing is fantastic and amazing. And I'm just happy to be a small part of that, to be able to help with the tech side of things and everything. So Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Stacy, thank you guys also. Really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions at all for Chris, please reach out to one of us and we can help connect you, or we'll try to answer your question for you. Have a great day. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.